This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Good morning, everyone. Parshas Yisro. Rashi tells us at the beginning of the Parsha that Yisro had many names. Yisro, in fact, had 7 names. Rashi tells us, Yisro, Sheva Shemos Nikru Ulai. Yisro had 7 names that he was called. Reuel, Yeser, Yisro, Chayvav, Chever, Keni, Putiel. And now Rashi explains, why was he called these 7 names? Yeser, Al Shem, Sheyiter, Parsha Achas B'Torah. You know why he was called Yeser? Because he added a Parsha in the Torah. Which Parsha? V'yato Sechazeh. Now let's take a careful look at that. Rashi's telling us, you know why what Yisro was called Yeser? What does Yeser mean to add on? Because Yisro was responsible for adding on a Parsha to the Torah. Because you know when Yisro comes, the Chumash says, he came the day after Yom Kippur, and he sees that Moshe Rabbeinu is judging the people from morning until evening, and he says, this is not a good idea, I don't like what you're doing. This is not good for you, right? Naval Tibo, you're going to wear out. Listen to what I have to tell you. Warn the people. And then he says, V'yata sechazem mikalam anshe chayil. So because Yisro added on a pasuk in the Torah, what happened? What happened was he was zocha to have an extra name. Yeser, because he added on a parsha to the Torah. So the question is, this question is said over in the name of Meir Shapiro. He said, wait a second. Yisro added on an extra parsha? Where did he add on the extra parsha from? From the pasuk V'yata Sechzeh? V'yata Sechzeh is pasuk Chaf Aleph. That's not the added pasuk he added on. Right? He came, and pasuk Yadalid, he sees Moshe Rabbeinu sitting from morning until evening, and he says, this is not a good idea. So instead of Rashi saying that Yisro added on an extra pasuk from V'yata Sechzeh, what should it say? It should say that he added on from Naval Tibal, Leitayv Hayasa, Leitayv Hadar Ashata Oisa. I don't understand. Why is Rashi saying that the extra pasuk, that the extra parsha Yisro added on is V'yata Sechzeh? V'yata Sechzeh is in the middle of the parsha. You know, instead of adding on a vav for the V'yata Sechzeh, as some learn, maybe you should add on an extra nun. You know, instead of calling him Yeser, call him Yesern or something like that. From Naval Tibal. Why does Rashi say specifically that the extra pasuk that, the extra parsha Yisro added on is V'yata Sechzeh? So Meir Shapiro says the following. A lot of people, they could come in to a situation, they say, no, I don't like what you're doing, it's not good, this is not a good idea, you should do, this is not, and people are very critical, they could say, this is a problem, that's a problem, but they're not adding anything. They're not making anybody's life any better. Anybody could come and say, this is no good, that's no good, I don't like this is problematic.
This is very
right? A critic, it's a dime a dozen. Until Yisro says what the Eitzah is, until Yisro says the constructive idea, until Yisro gives the plan, he hasn't added anything. He hasn't contributed anything. So the fact that Yisro comes and says, you're going to wear out, he hasn't added anything. Anyone could come and say, not good, learn this way, learn that way, I don't like this, I don't like that. Until Yisro comes with a constructive plan, he hasn't added anything. So that's a very important insight from Rashi. Now let's continue on in Rashi.
What about the Jews didn't have seichel and needed that Goy should come to tell them how to behave?
Sometimes, you need an objective opinion. Sometimes, ein chavesh mater atzma mibeis ha'asurim. You can't get yourself out of the mess. Now Rashi says a very interesting thing. He's called Yeser. Why? Because he added on a parsha in the Torah. And why is he called Yisro? Why was the extra vav added? L'chshen es gayer, when he converted. V'kiyem ha-mitzvos, and he fulfilled the mitzvos. Ha'isifu loy ois achas al shemai. An extra letter was added onto his name. Listen to this. Yeah? He's called Yeser because why? He added on to the Torah. He's called Yisro with the added vav. Why? Because he was Megaya and he kept Kol HaTorah Kula. Comes Rabbi Aryeh Gorovitz, Zechatzak Levracha, who is the Rosh Shiurim Noshiva in Gateshead. And he asks, well, wait a second, Haga ba'atzmacha, look at what Rashi's saying. Rashi's saying he was given 3 letters, why? He added on Chidushim to the Torah. He was given 1 letter, why? Because he was Megaya and he kept all the mitzvahs in the Torah. Now, which would we think is more important? Adding on 1 parsha to the Torah, becoming a ger and keeping the whole Torah.
Keeping all the mitzvahs.
We would think keeping all the mitzvahs. And yet, for keeping all the mitzvahs, what happens? He only got an extra letter. And for adding on to the Torah, he gets his whole name, Yeser. How do we understand that? So very interesting. He says an amazing idea. And that is the test to see if someone is really involved in learning Torah. How do we know if someone is really involved in learning Torah? Because they come and set aside time to learn? That doesn't really mean they're fully involved in learning. Who knows, they could come to the shiur. Who knows what they're thinking about? Who knows what's on their mind? And when they leave the shiur, do they even remember what was learned? You know? The test, if somebody is really a ben Torah, really involved in Torah, is if he is able to be mechadesh, is he able to innovate, lehavin davar mitash davar, to extrapolate from what he learned to another scenario. Why is that the test? Because if someone is able to take what he learned and add to it and apply it and think about it and see how it affects other areas, that means the Torah is not just something he learned one time, but his mind is constantly occupied with it. It's filtering through his blood system. That's the true test to see if someone's attached to the Torah. The greatest test of attachment to Torah is someone is able to be mechadesh to the Torah. So on the one hand, Yisro, what? He becomes a ger and he keeps the whole Torah. All he gets is the extra vav. But the true test is if he's able to add to the Torah using his seichel to apply it to new circumstances, that is his greatest achievement. And that's why it's very interesting. Rabbi say, if you look in the Gemara on Shabbos, on Daf Lamed Aleph Amud Aleph, the Gemara says, "La'achar mea ve'esrim shana," they ask you 6 biggies, 6 big questions. Question number 1 is what? Nasasa v'nasata be'amuna. Did you deal in business honestly? That's question number 1.
Did you put time on
Question number 2. Kavata itim l'Torah. Did you set aside a time to learn? Question number 3. Asakta b'peri v'rivya. Did you try to procreate? Question number 4. Tzipisa liyeshua. Did you yearn for Mashiach? Question number 5. Palpalta b'chachma. Did you, not just you learned, okay, very nice, shkoyach, you learned. Did you discuss it? Were you mafalpel? Did you argue? Did you back and forth? And question number 6, Hevanta davar mitoich davar. Did you use what you learned to see if you could apply it to other cases? Did you extrapolate? Did you think about it? So think about it. There are 3 of the 6 questions are involved with learning. Right? Did you set aside time to learn? Were you mafalpel in the learning? Did you try to lahavin davar mitoich davar? Out of the 3 questions they ask a person about learning, 2 of them are beyond just setting aside time to learning. Okay, you learned. Yeah, but were you mafalpel? Did you get involved? Did you melchamta shel Torah? And did you try to understand one thing from the other? In other words, even perhaps the main test of a person's attachment to Torah is not just the setting aside time to learn, but if he's able to, if the Torah that he learned is filtering through his mind, if he's thinking about it, if he's occupied with it. So this is a very important lesson we learn. That Yisro kept the whole Torah, all he gets is 1 letter. But he adds on to the Torah, what? He gets his main name. He gets the 3 letters of Yeser. Okay. Now, boys, let's turn for a moment to number 10. Number 10. And we're going to learn now the halachos of shuckling. The laws of shuckling. Right? You ever see when people learn, they shuckle. You know, you ever see when somebody takes a newspaper, you ever see someone open up a newspaper and he's shuckling? I never saw such a thing. You ever see someone doing a crossword puzzle and, they're shuckling while they do it? I never saw. But when people learn, all of a sudden, they start shaking. Well, what are they shaking for? Where does this come from?
Concentration.
Nervous twitch.
Concentration.
What?
It came in the way in Bobo.
In Bobo.
The yeshiva, they didn't have enough sforim. So you'll see into one to another, that came to shock.
So says...
No, that's true.
Say the Rishonim, it came before Babel. You know when it came? It comes on this week's Parsha.
Oh.
What does it say? Look at number 10. V'chol ha'am ro'im es ha'kolos. The nation saw the voices.
How do you see voices?
You tell me.
LSD.
They saw it. They saw the voices, right? That's a very deep concept, how they were able to see the voices, how the sound waves were transmitted into actual substance. V'yes halapidim, they saw the fire. V'es kol hashofar. V'es hahar ashen, they saw the mountain on smoking up. Vayar ha'am, the nations of Vayanu, they shook. Vayam du meirachik. Says the Baal HaTurim. What does it say when the Torah was given? The people shook. Says the Baal HaTurim. Al kain misnanim b'shas limud Torah. That's why you shake when you learn Torah. You're supposed to shake. Lefisha Torah nitna be'ema. Because the Torah was given in awe, bereses, in dread, v'zeya, with sweat. That's why we shake, we shackle when we learn Torah, because it says vayanu. So you say, okay, it's a Baal HaTurim, it's a remez. Says the Ramah in Shulchan Aruch. V'noagu hamedaktikim. The people are careful, they are custom. Lehisnainea, v'shosh shekarim b'Torah. They shackle when they learn the Torah. Why? Dugmas ha-Torah shenitna bereses. As a similar to the Torah that was given in dread. So it's not just, a nice Baal HaTurim, it's halacha and Shulchan Aruch. That's why people shackle when they learn. B'chein b'shashim espalim, when we daven. What's the union of shackling? Al shem kalatz moisai taimarna Hashem mikamaycha. Because when you pray, you're supposed to declare with all of your limbs, who is like you, Hashem. Says the Orchos Chaim, now listen to this, the Orchos Chaim, one of the Rishonim, it's a collection of halachas. He says like this, another reason why we shackle. You ready for this? And this is halach, nafkamina lahalacha. You won't believe this. How should you shackle? Should you shackle back and forth, or should you shackle side to side?
Back and forth.
Right, you ever see people, when they daven, they go, you shouldn't do that. You should shackle back and forth.
It's the elevator style.
Why? He says, Orchos Chaim is a Rishon. Okay, it's halacha, he says. He says, V'haminog shenagu Yisrael lenanei agufa mishas halima. The minog is for Klal Yisrael to shackle when they learn. Loi davareku. It's not an empty thing. It's not an empty thing. Ki agada hi b'Bereishis Rabbah. It is an agadic interpretation of Bereishis Rabbah. The Medrash says, Ha-Torah lo nitna ela b'schus hishtachavoya. The Torah was given in the merit that we bow down. Shenemar, like it says, Klal Yisrael by Har Sinai, v'hishtachavisen meirachayk. They should bow from afar. They should bow from afar. Hashem told them, don't come near the mountain. Don't come near the mountain. And what does it say? They bow down from afar. So the Torah was given as a merit for our hishtachaveh. Therefore, you're not supposed to shackle from side to side. Ela lefana, but ahead of you. Why? Because it's supposed to be like you're bowing down. Very interesting, right? So the Orchos Chaim is a Rishon. No, this is not some Maisala. This is a Rishon saying the makar of shackling comes from the pasuk Vayanu. It's a type of hishtachaveh, and therefore it should be forward. And now we understand. Listen to this.
If they wouldn't have bowed down, the Torah wouldn't have given.
No, it wouldn't have been given.
No, it wouldn't have.
That's what it says.
What do you do with the Torah?
So it's a good thing they bowed down.
But give it to Yisro.
No.
We wouldn't be here.
Yeah. Now listen to this. When they take out the Sefer Torah, you say what? Bruch Shemei. In Bruch Shemei we say, Ana avda de kutchabrichu. I am the servant of God. Disagidna kameh. I bow before you. Umi kameh dikarai raise. And from before the honor of the Torah, b'chol idan v'idan. Every single time. What do you mean every single time? What does it mean we bow down to the Torah every single time? Says the Sefer, Torah's chashashuai. When do we bow down to the Torah every single time? The answer is because the Ramah says, and the Orchos Chaim says, when we learn, you're being mishtachaveh, you shackle, and that's what we mean in the Bruch Shemei. Disagina kameh mikaymar deikar raisa b'chol idan v'idan. Okay. That's just in case you wanted to know the halachas of shackling. This is halachas of shackling. When they davened.
When they davened. About learning here.
Learning. Yeah. All right.
Yeah. It's not a chiyuv. but there's certainly, it's a custom, so it has basis. Okay? Okay. Now listen to this. The Aseres HaDibros. How many letters in the Aseres HaDibros?
600.
How many letters in the Aseres HaDibros? So we have a tradition that up into the words Asher L'Reyacha, you have 613 letters. Up into the words Keneged what? 613 mitzvahs. Asher L'Reyacha are what? Another 7. 7 corresponds to either, as the Baal HaTurim says, the 7 mitzvahs b'nei Noach, or as the Chassam Sofer brings down, the 7 mitzvahs d'Rabbanan. Okay? A total of 620. The word keser is what? 620. To teach that somebody who learns Torah Lishma, the Torah is a keser on his head. How many words in the Aseres HaDibros?
172.
172 words. Take a look at the Baal HaTurim. Look at number 8. Look at number 8. Reyacha. Aseres HaDibros maschilin ba'alef. The Aseres HaDibros begin with an aleph. Umesaymin b'kaf. They end with a chaf. Tezehu, this is what it means. Ach toiv Yisrael. Ach is what is good for Klal Yisrael. Beginning with an aleph, ending with a chaf. V'yesh behem tarach oisiyos. They have 620 letters. Keneged taryag mitzvahs corresponding to the 620 mitzvahs. The Sheva mitzvah shel b'nei Noach and the 7 mitzvahs b'nei Noach. The simanam, the siman, is keser Torah. Lamar lecha, this teaches you. Shem adam loy mei Torah l'shma. Someone who learns Torah l'shma, he keser l'roshai. But on the other hand, what do Chazal say? If someone learns Torah shelo l'shma, the Torah could be a sam hamaves. And what used to be keser could be rearranged to be kares. How many letters? The words, V'yeshbam tevos minyan ekev. That's why you remember when Eliezer gives the 2 rings to Rivka, he gives her shnei tzimidim, the 2 bracelets. The 2 bracelets represent what? The 2 luchais. How much did they weigh? Beka mishkalai. Beka is 172, corresponding to the number of words in the Aseres HaDibros. That's why if you keep the Torah, Bishamram, Ekev Rav, great reward. Ekev is 172. Okay. And that's why the name Yaakov is the Yudis from the Aseres HaDibros, Kuf Ayin Beis, the 172 words in the Aseres HaDibros. Says the Chassam Sofer, listen to this. Amazing thing. There's 613 letters up to the words Asher L'Reyacha, and the 7 letters of Asher L'Reyacha correspond, according to the Chassam Sofer, to the 7 mitzvos d'Rabbanan. And Asher L'Reyacha is actually Rashi Tevos for the 7 mitzvos d'Rabbanan. How? Aleph is Avelos. It's one of the mitzvos d'Rabbanan. Look at number 9. Shin is Sheva Brachos, Simchas Chasam Nekala, which is a Takana Moshe Rabbeinu. Reish is Rechitza, Netilas Yadayim, before you eat. Lamed is Lechem, which is referring to Pasakum. Reish is Reshuyos, which refers to Aruvei Chatzeros and Shitufei Mavais.
Pasakum, why not Pas Yisrael? Oh, because it's Asher L'Reyacha, it's a lav.
No, you're not allowed to eat Pasakum. That's the Din D'Rabbanan. It's the Din D'Rabbanan. Right? Ayin is Amalek, which refers to Mikra Megillah. And what? The end of Chaf are the Kohanim, referring to the Nes of Chanukah. So it's Asher L'Reyacha are referred to the Zayin Mitzvos D'Rabbanan. Okay. I'll tell you a very interesting thing. What?
What the reish? Chitzi could have been Retzicha.
Retzicha? No, there's no mitzvah of Retzicha. Okay. Now you have on your sheet here number 7 from the Kehilas Yitzchak. You know the Gemara tells us in Masechta Soita and Daf Hey, a Talmid Chacham needs to be a little bit of a Baal Gaiva. Talmid Chacham needs to be a little bit of a Baal Gaiva. How much? Shminas Sheva Shminas. An eighth of an eighth. An eighth of an eighth. What's an eighth of an eighth?
64th.
1/64th. So the question, what in the world is this cheshbon that a Talmid Chacham should have a 64th of gaiva? What's the cheshbon of it? So Parsha says, what 1/64th, but not more than that, because if you're going to be what's more than a 64th? A 63rd. If you're going to be a 63rd, you're going to be a gas ruach. Gas is 63. We don't want you to be about mamish about gaiva, a gas. A 64th. But listen to this cheshbon. Kilos Yitzchak brings down, what's the cheshbon? How do Chazal know you should be a 64th of a bagay? Well, the Gemara over there on that blot says that a person should learn modesty from God. Because God forsook all the mountains in the world. He could have given the Torah on Har Gavnunim. He could have given it on what? Har Tavar. He could have given it on Mount Everest. Right? He could have given it in the Catskills. No. Hashem selected Har Sinai. So think about it.
More than Har Maria?
Okay. Now, the Gemara says, Har Tavar wanted Hashem to give the Torah on it. Anybody know how big was Har Tavar?
Not so big.
The Gemara says in Bava Basra, Har Tavar was very big. It was 4 parsa.
This is Tabar from what's the Torah?
Har Tavar. It was 4 parsa. How much is a parsa? How big is a parsa? 4 mil. Parsa is 4 mil.
4 mil.
How big is a mil? 2,000 amos.
Oh, cool.
So how much is 16 mil? 16 mil is 32,000 amos. So Har Tavar. What? How much is that? We don't need to get into that.
4.5 about, right?
It depends. Rav Moshe, the Chazon Ish. But basically, right? So Har Tavar was 4 parsa. Right? Amma is from here to here. Okay? So how big is Har Tavar? Har Tavar is 4 parsa. A parsa is 4 mil. A mil is 2,000 amos. So Har Tavar is 32,000 amos. How big is Har Sinai?
Small.
So based on the Yalkut Ruveni, that Mr. Nathan mentioned, that Har HaMoriah came and lay down on Har Sinai. So Har HaMoriah we know is 500 amma. So that means Har Sinai is also 500 amma. So if Har Sinai is 500 amma and Har Tavar is 32,000 amos, what percent is 500 amos out of 32,000 amos?
1/64.
1/64. So Hashem could have given them...
Sinai was full.
Yeah, there you go. I know.
Because Har HaMoriah was 500 amos, that's a Gemara, and we know that Har Sinai was Nekar, Har HaMoriah was Nekar, and it laid down on Har Sinai at the time of the giving of the Torah, so it was the same size. So what we learn from here, Hashem forsook all the mountains. He didn't give it in the valley. He gave it on Har Sinai. Har Sinai is a 64th of Har Tavar. So from here we learn a person should have a 64th of Gaiva. A little gaiva won't do you any harm. Okay, we'll end off with the following. Chazal say a little bit about Purim. It's already Shloshim Yom Kodim Achag. We have to learn a little bit about Purim. So it says that at Har Sinai, when Hashem gave the Torah to Klal Yisrael, we accepted it, what? Ba'oines. And we didn't accept it B'ratzain until the days of Achashverosh. So the Chafetz Chaim wants to know what happened in the days of Achashverosh that we accepted the Torah willingly. Why didn't we accept the Torah willingly in the time of Har Sinai? So Chafetz Chaim said like this: the Tar Shebechsav we had no problem with. What was our problem with the Tar Shebal Peh? Tar Shebal Peh. Why do we have a problem with Tar Shebal? The Jew said, look, for me to put on tefillin in the morning, no problem. It takes me 3 seconds. But you want me to schlep out and go to Minyan? Come on. I mean, I could work an extra 45 minutes. I should go to Minyan in the morning. And then in the middle of the day, I should go daven mincha? I mean, well, these rabbis, leave me alone. I'll put on my tefillin, I'll say my Shema, and fartig. Enough with all these takanas drabanans after daven mincha in the middle of the day. Go out to a Minyan for Mariv. No. The Torah is not going to work for us. By the time, when the goyim hear that we can't drink their wine, and we can't eat their bread, and we can't eat their oil, and we can't shake their hands, they'll finish us off. So we said, Tar Shebechsav, fine. Tar Shebal Peh, it's not going to work, practically speaking, for us to have so many safeguards against the goyim. Until the times of Purim. What happened in the times of Purim? What happened in the times of Purim? The Jews saw that Mordechai was being a big machmir, that even though Haman just had some statue around his neck, Mordechai didn't bow down to it. And Mordechai would not, Haman, so you see, if a fly falls into your drink, Achashverosh, the Jews would drink it. But if you touch it, the Jews aren't going anywhere near it. So the Jews said to Mordechai, look, you see the Dinei D'Rabbanan, look where they're getting us. Look where they're getting us. We were right. But then ultimately, when they saw that Haman had his downfall, and that even when Klal Yisrael is loyal to the laws of the Rabbanon, they still come out on top, and no harm befalls them. So they were willing to be makabel, even the Tar Shabbat Peh. That's why not until the time of Achashverosh, where Klal Yisrael saw that even by fulfilling all the Dikduke Rabbanon, they still will be saved from their enemies. That's why they're makabel the Torah. In the times of Purim, Rabbi Sagun Shabbat.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.